Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel and to a new video. As you can see here, I am in a different setting. I decided to come here actually in a house in the land to recover from my health condition where I can eat here a specific diet, and so I will be here for a couple of days and I could only bring with me my laptop. So I'm sorry that the audio quality might not be best here, but that's all I have in this moment. So in this video we are going to explore something that I wanted to actually do since some time, and that is to give you an overview on how you can tweak actually the Linux kernel. So instead of talking too much here in the intro, I would say let's jump into the video. So here I'm recording on my laptop, guys. I'm sorry, I know that the audio quality is not the best, but this is all I have for the next couple of videos. I hope it's good enough for you. Now, this is the ArchWiki on a page called Sys Cctl. Now, what is Sys Cctl? Sys Cctl is a tool for examining and changing kernel parameters at runtime. Sys Cctl is implemented in procfs, the virtual process file system at /proc. So we have a directory in our Linux file system called /proc that is actually a virtual process file system, and it is basically the interface to the Linux kernel. Now let's switch to the terminal. And the first thing I want to actually do is to switch to the root user, because I'm going to use some commands that are not going to work with the sudo command. So su dash is the command here, and we need to authenticate. Now let's go to the proc directory, cd/proc, and type in ls. So what do we have in here? We have basically three things. We have the blue numbers on the left side of the screen. These are directories representing the process IDs or the PIDs in our system. As you know, in the Linux file system we have processes running, and each process has its own ID or PID, so the process ID. So these numbers represent the directories of the PIDs running in our system. And if you want more information about a process, you need to note down the number, and then you can come in here and search for the information you need. The other thing we have here on the right side of the screen are some configuration file or status files, better said. And those are, for example, boot config, we have command line, we have CPU info, we have file systems, we have mem info, and so on. So if I type in a terminal here, cat mem info, it gives me basically runtime parameters for my memory. And ls again. The third thing I would like to point out is the sys directory. The sys directory here basically contains the tunable parameters of the kernel. So let's go in there. Let's type in cd and then sys and type in ls again. So you can see there we have again some directories: abi, debug, dev, fs, kernel, net, user, vm. So this directory contains the tunable parameters of the kernel. Now you might ask how many parameters we can tune in the kernel. Well, we can use the sysctl-a command to check that. If I type in this command here and hit enter, you can see there I get a long list of parameters that I can tweak in the kernel. But you might ask, yeah, but how many are there? Well, we can actually use again the same command and pipe it to wc. And as you can see there on the left side, in my machine, I have 1,327 parameters that I can tweak in the kernel. Now on your machine might be different, because it depends also on the number of drivers you have installed and many other parameters as well. But on my machine is 1,327, which is a lot. So let's go back to the ArchWiki. And the ArchWiki here is describing you some of these parameters and how you can change them. Now in this video, I'm gonna go for the TCP keep alive parameters as an example only. And that's because it's impossible for me to explore all the parameters available in the kernel. And I just want to give you an example on how it works, and then you can of course apply it to other parameters as well. So let me click this line here, and as you can see we have here the TCP keep alive. TCP keep alive is a mechanism for TCP connections that help to determine whether the other end has stopped responding or not. And keep alive has three parameters: keep alive time, keep alive interval, and keep alive probes. And the ArchWiki here is giving us an example. So how can we check the value of our parameters in our machine here? Well, let's go back to the terminal and find it out. So let's type in here ls again, and you can see we have the net directory. Now the net directory is interesting because if we check again the ArchWiki, we have also net here in the first word of the line. We have also the dot here and IPv4 and a dot again. This dot indicates that the net and IPv4 are actually directories. And then the parameter itself is represented with underscore in its name. So you can see the TCP keep alive time parameter is under /net/IPv4. So if we go back to the terminal and we go into cd and then net and then IPv4 and hit enter and type in ls, you can see we have here the keep alive intervals, keep alive probes, and keep alive time. So how is actually the parameter right now? What is the value? So to find the value, we can type in cat and then TCP underscore keep alive underscore time. And you can see the value is by default 7200. So how can we change this value to 60? I'm going to change only the time parameter here just to show you how it's done. But how can we change this parameter to 60 as suggested in the wiki? Well, to do this we can use the echo command. So we can change this by typing in echo 60, and we're going to basically give this information, put this information with the major than symbol to TCP underscore keep alive underscore time, and then hit enter. Now if we use the cat command again, you will see that the parameter changed to 60. Now the parameter is now 60, but that's on runtime only. That means if I would reboot my machine right now, it's going to go back to the default, which is 7200. So how can we make the parameter permanent if you need to do that? Well, let's go back to the wiki and let's scroll up at the beginning of the page here where we have the configuration. Now the configuration here, it's going to depend also from your distribution. What I showed you until now about changing the parameter is going to be true for every distribution, but the configuration file is going to vary depending on your distribution. So if you have a RHEL-based distro like Fedora, for example, you should have a sysctl.com file in the Sys directory. And in Ubuntu-based distros, it might be also somewhere else. And in Arch Linux, as you can see here, it says the sysctl preload configuration file can be created under etc sysctl.d99-sysctl.conf. So that's the file we need to create to make that parameter permanent. And the parameter that we will be entering in this file will be the parameter that we saw before. So net.ipv4.tcp underscore keep alive underscore time equals 60. And we don't need to specify proc sys because we are saving in the sysctl.com file, and he knows that this parameter is actually under /proc/sys. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to again copy this line so that I don't have to type in the file name here, and copy this value and go back to the terminal. And I go back here to the home root directory and type in here vim, and then paste in the line I just copied, enter insert mode, and in here I will type in net.ipv4, again these are the two directories under proc sys, .tcp underscore keep alive underscore time equal 60. And then I can save this file and exit vim, and when I will reboot my machine, this parameter will be set to 60 automatically. So if you have other parameters that you would like to make permanent, you will have to save them in your sysctl.com file. Again, depending on your distribution, the location might be also slightly different. So this is a very quick overview on how you can tweak the parameters in the Linux kernel. Again, I cannot go through all the parameters in the kernel. There are way too many. But if you are interested in knowing more about the parameters, I will leave a link to some resources in the video description below so that you can explore yourself and see what parameters you might be interested in tweaking. Anyway, keep in mind that here you are tweaking the kernel, so proceed with caution and make sure also that you follow the correct steps for your distribution regarding the configuration file. So this is how you can tweak the Linux kernel. Again, what I showed you in this video is really just an overview. There is so much you can tweak in the kernel. I can't possibly cover everything in a video or even in 2 or 3 videos. But this should give you enough information for you to be able to explore what you can do. And if you want to have more information about how to tweak the Linux kernel, I definitely recommend you to look up for resources online, because the procedure is going to be basically the same, but what those parameters are doing and what kind of parameters you want to tweak, you can find this up in the internet. So if you try this out, let me know in the comments below how it's working for you, and if you have any question about the video, let me also know in the comments below. As you know, I will try to answer you as soon as I can. And I hope also that you liked the video. If you did, please hit the thumbs up and sub to the channel if you haven't already. That always helps me out. And if you want to support my work, you can do so by becoming a Patreon or if you want, you can donate via PayPal through my website as well. Thank you so much for watching the video, guys. I really appreciate that, and I'll see you very soon in the next one.